Greetings. Thank you for joining Just Read It. We're coming to you from the Laurelhurst Assisted Living in Portland, Oregon. They're kind enough to donate this space to us on a fairly regular basis. And what we do is we discuss books that we've recently read. And I wanted to introduce you to my co-host. I'm Susan Stoner. I'm an author. This is Caroline Miller. She is a writer of Gothic novels, a playwright, and also a prolific blogger. And then also with me is John Leslie.
Bill Leslie.
Bill Leslie. Oh, that's wonderful. Bill Leslie, I'm sorry. And Bill is a jack of all trades kind of guy, and he's written numerous articles about a variety of subjects and been published in many periodicals. And he is now working on his first novel, which is historical, my favorite thing. And it'll take place in Portland, Oregon in 1894.
That's correct.
Okay.
And since Susan is modest, she's a mystery series writer, turn of the century, Pacific Northwest mystery writer, and very good. I've got that done.
All right. Okay, so the book that we're going to discuss today is called Cherokee Rose. It's written by Tiya Miles, and it is historically based. And what it looks at is the history of Cherokee and Creek ownership of slaves in Georgia. And it's based on actual events. And the book goes, and then it looks at the impact of this history on three women. One is a black elite, came from a very wealthy family in Atlanta. Another is a woman who is a Creek from Oklahoma, who's doing her historical dissertation. And then the third is a woman named Jinx, and she's half black, half white, multiracial person, and she is dead. She writes magazine articles. And so the book goes back and forth between what happened in about the 1830s and to the women, in particular, of this plantation that was owned by one of the chiefs of the Cherokee tribes. So. And Bill, because you're our guest, you get to go first. What did you think of this novel?
I loved the scope that the author set out, and the arc, the story arc, I thought was very interesting. Three people compelled or drawn by some unknown force to come to this plantation because the plantation building is up for sale. She picked a tough arc because she introduced one character in chapter 1, another in chapter 2, and another in chapter 3. The reader has to want to get to chapter 4 and start to see how they come together. Genre-wise, I found the book difficult. It doesn't pigeonhole very well. In some ways, it almost seems like young adult fiction, but in other ways, it does not. I found it a tough read, and my take was that her execution was not up to her concept. The hardest part for me was that she used third-party narration for the entire book, and that plus the diary entries that she included in it meant that you never really got to know the characters. I don't think there were more than a dozen different times where there was something in italics so that you knew that it was a character's thoughts. So you have a third-party narrator telling you everything. The only way you're going to get to know the characters is through their actions and their dialogue, and the book is short on both. There's not a lot of dialogue. So love the story arc, love the material, and she's clearly an expert on the topic of blacks and Indians in the early part of the 19th century. Yeah, but it was a tough read for me.
Well, I agree, but for slightly different. I think we agree that the book is undercooked. The three women who come to the plantation for their various reasons all behave quite different than their backgrounds. The black princess at the end decides to give up her hold on the plantation for reasons that really aren't clear, except that maybe she likes the guy who is related historically. The two other women suddenly fall into a homosexual love affair. Where did that come from? She has the most interesting topic Black slavery with Cherokee ownership. My Lord, I didn't even know that existed. I'm sorry, I didn't. And I wanted to know more. The history part is wonderful, and she is a historian. You can tell she's an historian, but she's not a novelist. The plot makes that dangerous shift constantly of focusing from the past to the present without much understanding of the tangential. And finally, what happens is you keep losing focus. So basically, wonderful topic, thematically underdeveloped, uncooked.
Well, I guess I feel differently. I really liked the book, and I thought that actually the reason why the woman from Atlanta was willing to actually go into partnership, is that her whole motivation for buying the plantation is she believed that she came from that her ancestors came from that plantation. Then she found out that this man that she is definitely attracted to is actually the one who came from that. And actually the blood of his ancestors really earned them the right to the plantation. So, you know, it's obvious they're going to get married, blah, 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 blah. So I really liked it. I liked the fact it was short. And I don't know, I recognize the people. Maybe it's because I know people like that. But I wasn't off-put by the fact that the characters were third person, or the fact that that there wasn't a heck of a lot of internal stuff going on.
Well, the problem though, Susan, is you don't develop, and particularly the Black Princess, identified throughout as the most spoiled, selfish, pampered person. Then why, you're right, she finds out she's, I hope we're not giving it away, she's not connected. She barely knows this other guy. From what comes this noble gesture of giving it to this guy? No! Undercooked.
Undercooked. And a couple of plot devices in there, such as the means by which this man could buy the plantation, were beyond belief to me. I thought,
ring, ring, ring.
Yeah, it doesn't work. She didn't sell it to me. Another thing that, an example of why I felt I didn't know the characters was at one point one of the girls says she's had scores of one-night stands. Well, my reaction was, are you proud of that? Are you embarrassed by it? And there's no reaction. She announces, I've had scores of them, but we never really know what that means to her.
And today I'm a homosexual.
Yeah. Yeah, that was another plot twist where I went and read it a second time and I went, okay, I can see a few hints, but it's almost like she threw that in to accomplish something she wanted.
But what?
Yeah, it's like at page 200 you go, oh, by the way, my protagonist is a black belt in karate so that he can accomplish something he wants.
Yeah.
And I didn't buy it.
But you have to admit, and I really want to say to the audience here, she touched upon a piece of history that needs to be uncovered. The Black history, I thought, to the degree that she developed it, was touching. She needs to go back. It's her first book. She needs to go back. She's got it, but I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Well, this was kind of a love at first sight kind of book, and since I fervently believe in love at first sight,
okay.
there you got it.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Before we do that, we vote now on whether to read it or not read it, and so you get to go first. And red means read it, and blue means I give it a miss.
This one missed for me.
I'm sure the audience is just cliffhanging over how you and I are going to vote on this bill. There you go.
I give it a resounding yes. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again or having you see us again.
Right.
And that's it.